Here we are, December 25th. The whole entire build is done. It was, for the most part, pretty good. I was happier with it than I thought I was going to be, considering that the Venator was a bit of an experience. There's a few issues with it. Basically, I'll go over those in the video, but the main issue is down here, where right in here, this entire structural weight as you're building it is connected by a 1x7 plate, so not the most stable. This whole structure is, well, not good. So I'm gonna have to rebuild that. I'm not happy with that at all. Up here, a lot of these guys are loose. Why? Yeah, there we go. Oh, now I gotta figure out how to get it back in there. There we go. But after that, other than that, it builds pretty well. The parts clutch well. The instructions are, for the most part, pretty decent. A lot better than the Venator. I did enjoy the build. Is it as quality as Lego? No, I'd put it at about 90%, but much better than the Venator was. So, is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. I had fun with it for the most part. A couple frustrating things, as you'll see. You also get these little ships down here. And over here, you got your Y-wing, your X-wing, A-wing back there, Titanium Shuttle, B-wing, TIE Fighter hiding back there, and the Millennium Falcon. I did enjoy the mini ships. That was a nice little bonus. I modded my Millennium Falcon a little bit. I'll discuss that later. I'll show you a series of pictures of the changes I made. You can do them if you want. If not, that's fine too. Anyway, enjoy it. I hope, if you do get it, it is definitely not for the weak-hearted. I'd put it at minimum a 16 plus set, probably an 18 plus set, just because of the weight and maneuvering it about. Anyway, good luck. Have fun. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. A couple things, stepped up my game a little bit. 2 hands now. Got the phone attached to a stand, so I don't have to make you nauseous with the movement. Gonna try a few things differently. I'm gonna do a little bit of an unboxing for this build and stop motion assembly. So we'll see how that goes. Not stop motion, time lapse. So we'll see how that goes. So first off, we'll do the unboxing. I posted a little bit of a message in the front of the video, answering a lot of questions that people seem to ask, like where I bought it from, how much I paid, who made it, that kind of thing. So this is actually my first Mould King build. Hopefully this is in the camera, sorry. This is all kind of new to me with the stand. And just look that over, give it a pause, and that should answer a lot of questions. Right off the bat, I know it's a little strange. This doesn't stink like the Lepin ones do. Usually when you open up a Lepin box one, it has like an odor to it. There's kind of a tool there, kind of serious. Looks like metal. I don't know, the equivalent of the Lego orange piece thing. Anyway, kind of seems kind of serious. Some plates for the bases, I guess. And I'm just gonna dump out the box. Hopefully the stand won't go flying off. I better dump them out because I'll knock this thing out. Looks like there's oh, that's it. This isn't plastic. I think this is graphite. Huh, interesting. All right, there we go. So I will dump these out and kind of sort through them, maybe take a little picture and get back to you about what is which. But just first off, real quick, Ziploc bags. Never seen that before. It's kind of cool. With the, I guess, the traditional bags on the inside. All right, let me sort through this and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've unboxed the bags. It's amazing that they can fit this in such a small little box. 24 bags, given that this is like December 29th, maybe, I'm sorry, November 29th, 30th. I might make this an advent build considering there's 24 bags. Kind of spread it out a little bit. 8 plates. You got that crazy tool thing. This is, it is definitely not plastic, so I'm thinking it's graphite. It doesn't bend, so there must be some structural thing that they needed that for. Overall, I think I don't mention this before. I have not mentioned this before. This is Marstev's build, I think. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a Mould King set. There's the manual, pretty thick, but over Leppen set, the instructions are laid out really well. They're not compressed like on the Castle or the Venator. 1,307 steps over 465 pages. And one at last bag of miscellaneous parts. It looks like it's mostly pins and what have you. Some tiles, but unnumbered bag. So there you go. So what I will do is I'll put the camera back into the stand so you don't have to get motion sick. I'm going to do a time lapse of each bag as opposed to the pictures I've done in the past. And hopefully this will work out and you won't fall asleep, but you guys are watching this. That's why I kind of ponied up for the stand. Step one is done. Not the most pleasurable build. I mean, it looks nice, but it's got issues. I gave up on trying to put this piece. It's supposed to go in here. I could not get it on there. This is supposed to go in there. It doesn't line up, so forget about those pieces. It's kind of flimsy. Getting it together is a little difficult, but I mean, it looks kind of nice, but as I said, not the most pleasurable experience. And this does not line up. It's supposed to go underneath this piece right here, but it won't fit in that tight spot. And then there was a couple other little issues that I've had, but I was able to work around it. So anyway, that's it. On to step two. Okay, two is done. Much better build than the first one. At least things for the most part worked out. But you can see from the length of the video that I kind of screwed up a couple parts. Don't build this late at night and really pay attention. It's easy to screw things up. There's a lot of off-center building on this, so it makes for some fragile bits as you're building it along. I had to modify a couple things. Like I changed this around because it wouldn't lay flat. I'm just being, you don't have to, but if you put it up here, it bulges this out. It doesn't line up well. There's a couple other parts that I tipped because it's off center that, oops, didn't get that down good enough. That kind of, just doesn't fit right. So make your modifications. Nobody's going to be able to tell. But it looks relatively nice, I think, actually. The greebling is really nice. So there you go. On to bag three. Sorry for the screwing up on the building, but it is what it is. You really have to pay attention to these sets. Actually not too bad of a build. There's a couple things, I don't know if you can see it in the time lapse, that you have to kind of maneuver. Like I had to remove these to put this pin in. I had to remove these to put this pin in. This part keeps falling off, so I just left it off for now. This part goes right there, but there's no way it'll fit. So I just took it off, and I'm probably gonna leave it off unless I can find a spot for it later. But I know it was in the right place. But overall, it was pretty solid. You know, the couple things here and there, as I said, it's easy to mess things up if you're not paying attention, which I guess I wasn't. But it's relatively solid, sorry. The only problem is that everything is attached to here, and it's just plates, you know, attaching to there. So there's nothing. So as you're building it up, I know there's going to be other stands. It's starting to get a little wobbly. So there you go. The other thing too that I was noticing, like on here, they should have like a plate, you know, that they, you know, to the I don't know how to put this, but sometimes like a 1x2 is only on one stud, where they could easily put another stud on there to secure it. Maybe that's because they took it away from the guy, Morris Devs or whoever's instructions. But, you know, right there, they could easily add a stud there and just made that more secure so it doesn't pop off. Just my opinion, though. Other than that, it was a fine build. All right, 4 coming up. Ton of greebling, a lot of detail. I actually kind of like it because it just looks cool. I like building this stuff. I will say though that this is becoming very precarious. Like you can see that it's not staying on there too great. But these 3 pieces right here were in there, and you can't put on, you may have saw me struggle a little with this, you can't put this assembly on where that brown bit is right here because these are too high, so it won't click in. This little area right here is the only thing I had problems with. I think it looks really cool. I'm just very nervous, like I'm gonna come down one day and it's gonna be toppled over. So hopefully when we get, I think I might set it on its back or something like that. But anyway, all right, so not a bad build, just it's precarious. All right, on to 5. As predicted, it did fall off. This connection right here, those 6 studs, 7 studs, are connected to this right here. That's it. That's the only thing that's holding up all that structure. And it's not light, so be careful about that. I would just leave it off and I'm just gonna mount it. Hope that works and it gets stronger later on. Is done. You did get a bunch of extra parts. I'm guessing they're going to be used for something else. I looked through the instructions. I didn't see where they went, so it is what it is. But as far as 5 goes, it's mostly just a bunch of detail work on the front there. There's a little bit of an illegal building that's going on in here. You can kind of see that where it's not laying straight because of the cracks. These pins are, you know, too high, so it's rubbing against it. So it also kind of twists this a little bit. We'll see how that works out though. Step 6, you're basically doing a lot of substructure, repetitive, but everything goes together well. Just a couple of weird things. You have to tilt these in, which Lego would, you should have just, you know, attached them and then before pressing this all down as one unit. They go in, but just be careful because if you go in it too long, you can probably break a pin if you push it in too hard at the wrong angle. So that's that part. And then the second part is you're doing kind of like an opening sequence of a Star Wars movie, the neck of the ship. So you're building that. There's really not much to discuss about it. It's just repetitive, get a little sore in the thumbs, and then this flips around. It would have been nice if that was more solid. Hopefully they'll put a piece in there to keep that from spinning, but I doubt it. So that's really it. This was a pleasurable build. Nothing to report. To complain about. You do get a bunch of extra pieces over here. I've noticed that they keep giving you pieces in prior steps, so don't toss anything away. Remember, these were from the previous step. I had to get those, use some parts from in there. So just keep everything until the very end. All right, that's it. I like greebling, but I don't like loose parts. And this one, you know, the way they design this, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't like parts that aren't secure, so it's like spins around and moves around. What I'm probably going to do, not for this video series, but I'm probably going to replace, I'm going to put a layer of 2x3s or, you know, plates, or maybe, you know, whatever, like 3s wide all the way across it, and then rebuild everything along on these plates. It makes things more secure, and it just looks better when it's straightened out and not flopping around, in my opinion. You don't have to do that if it doesn't bother you. A little OCD, so it does bother me a little bit. But I do like the general look of it all along in there. Kind of get that in there. Another problem is Lego usually puts, you know, I much prefer to build on a plate and then stick the plate on. This one has to put your plate on, then you add these. The problem with that is that doing one side is fine because you got nothing to get in your way. But as you flip it around and you start doing this, you're going to press the other side and then start knocking this stuff off. So you just got to be aware of that a little bit. But all in all, it looks good, and it's just going to need a little tweaking here and there, in my opinion. You don't have to do that. I'm just me. So there you go. On to 8. Talk to you later. See you tomorrow. I wasn't even going to make a video because you're basically just making this little sub-assembly, and it really there wasn't any issues except for 2 little bits that you don't have to do. But again, me being a little bit compulsive, is they only have you put in 1 pin there, and then this kind of goes there, but it flops around. It was driving me crazy. So I just grabbed an extra of those blue pins, stuck it in there. And then it's a slight cosmetic change, but it's not going to mess anything up, and I think that's better. It's nice and solid now. It doesn't flop around. The second part is right here, if you can see that a little bit. I got to get that. is if this piece is supposed to go there, but if you do that, this doesn't set in right and it doesn't really clutch. So remove that piece. It was kind of like that other part I was talking about earlier where that you couldn't put those together because they had those little 1x1s. So I don't know why they keep doing this, but you just don't have enough space in there. So just leave it out. That's it. So it looks pretty nice. I had to make a couple adjustments by adding a piece here to like this one to raise this little section up so it didn't knock into this, and then it kind of bows out. So I wanted to do that. A couple of these, where is it? This door right here. Oops, sorry for knocking the camera there. This door right here, you can maybe see that little gold piece in there. I just raised it up because if you don't, then this gets knocked there and it looks tilted. You have to remodify some of the building instructions to get some of these mountings in. I had to remove pieces like this guy right here. I had to remove some of these upper pieces, push it in, and then replace them. It'll work better. The instructions are weird, but it takes a little creativity. That's where I guess the challenge comes in. These plates and these bars, right? You know, the Technic bars, straighten all this out, the crookedness that this was doing. So I'm happy with that. Straightens this part out. This used to bow forward a little bit. So, and then, as I said, feel free if you've got the extra parts to add parts because it's greebling. Nobody's going to notice the difference anyway. Like if I have an extra one, I'm going to put a 1x4 plate behind this just to kind of make this not flap around so much anymore. But there are still areas that they have that where they could have used an extra pin just to keep it going. There's another one, floppy one there. This guy still, where is it? This still flops around. So that's up to you what you want to do. It is becoming a bit of a monster though. Oh, and I also had to use the hammer to put these down. I can't reach it because of the way I'm holding it, but that little blue hammer I showed at the very beginning, you just tap along these and it puts it down because it's kind of hard to pinch those plates on from inside of here. So just use hammer, just do it. But as I said, it is getting pretty long. It's going to be kind of hard to film and show you things, maybe. So I'll do my best, but there you go. So I'll zip that back real quick, put this down, and on to step 10. Okay, so we're at the end of 10. You're building these two side panels here for the engine mount. A couple comments about it. They look really nice, but they are pretty fragile building them until you put in that key locking piece that holds everything together. And that's usually at the end of the sub-assembly. So just be aware of that. Also mounting them in the way they put these panels here. And I'm trying to get this, and these panels here, it gets in the way of the pins that lock in there. I can't really get in there. I don't know if you can see them in there or not. It's kind of dark. It's kind of hard to hold it and see where the camera is. But you have to remove those to be able to get the pins in there and then mount them back on. It's a little challenging, but it can be done. There was one missing piece that I had. But other than that, and I was able to replace it with a similar piece. Hopefully that piece won't be used later because they keep, you remember those parts I told you about? They keep grabbing parts from in here. You would think that the parts that they need for this step would all be in those bags, but all these parts came from a couple bags earlier. So keep these around. I'm just hoping that this is what was missing. was this guy right here. I needed a light gray one, so I used one of the dark ones. So I hope I don't need it. If it does, I'll just have to go to my parts library. All right. I'm going to do this one handheld because I'm kind of afraid to move it. It looks nice. You can tell from the engines and stuff like that. But man, it was a pain in the butt to put in there. If you watched the time lapse, you could see how much I had to struggle with it. Basically, I had to remove this section right here, all of this in here. This came off. What else? Other bits along through here fell off as I was trying to struggle with it. Had to take these guys off and these guys off, and then some structural in there, and you just have to rework everything to get it in there. I don't know what it is with these mock sets. I don't know, but the engines are just really flimsy. They could be done better. I'm probably going to rework them. These are okay. They're literally held on by one stud though. You know, this one is kind of flimsy too. Sorry for the handheldness. It's really hard to see where things are. Anyway, you're going to struggle with this one maybe. If you're not, congratulations. But I was not thrilled, and streams of profanity did come out my mouth as I was trying to put it on. All right. It seems okay. I mean, I have lifted it and it's getting pretty heavy, but as I said, I don't like moving it with those engines. They seem flimsy. Okay. Before I go on to step 12, I just want to really quickly point out a couple things. I added a little base to here. It's basically 2 bricks high plus a plate from the set. 2 more bricks up there, 3 times. I got these, I pulled these forward from bag 14 to raise these up. So that's just another brick and a plate from the set. And then I believe that's 4 bricks, 4 bricks, and another of those there. The reason why I was looking ahead to the future steps, and it looks like you're gonna be flipping that around a lot, and it's not the most stable, and I didn't feel the neck was a strength. So at least now when you flip it around, it'll be relatively level, and it gives you something to support as you're pressing parts on. Just an idea, don't have to do it. I think it'll help a lot. Do this in handheld, but the ship is getting too long. Also, ignore any red brick. Those are the ones I added to discuss, that I discussed previously to this. So you're basically doing that little bit of design, and then you're putting on these pieces right here, along in there. And then you're doing some more little greebling throughout here. Now, I will say this, the problem with this is as you press down, it is really easy to knock that down. So you've got to kind of hold it with one hand here and do your pressing here. Be real careful because it's easy to, it's on there. You know, they don't even have you do that. So I don't even know how they would have you put this together without that. So, you know, make that base strong, but it's still going to be it's still a little wobbly. And as you press down, it's easy to tip it over. So that's why I was holding down here while pressing down there. Just a note to make for step 12. Just be careful. Done with 13, not a bad step, really not much to report, just more greebling. Remember, balance your pressure so it doesn't tip over. This thing is really loose. Other than that, it looks good. I got everything rebuilt. That took about an hour, hour and a half to get everything in there correctly. I made a couple adjustments in there that are off the instruction book just to make it a little bit better. But again, still very wobbly there. I mean, it does firm up with putting in these connector pieces and locking it all in. Like the structure itself is good, but as I said, it's really doesn't have a whole lot to grab onto, so it's relying on the other forms too. But it is getting pretty massive and then coming back. So you're basically building these. This went in together just fine. This part over there, you saw me struggle with this a little bit. They do some weird bits where they think you can just put things in and everything will fit correctly, but they don't because it's not within the tolerance. So expect throughout the build that you're going to have to figure out a better way of putting the parts together. They will go together once they're in pretty good, but you're just going to have to, you know, kind of futz with it a little bit. I think the result is pretty good. I'm excited to see the rest of it, but that's 14. I kind of struggled with this step for a little bit. Not only from trying to film it on the time lapse to putting it together, it was just a little bit of a struggle. But basically you're building the back decking here, some of this detail work in here, and then over on the opposite side, you are doing this detail work here. It's getting awkward to film and adjust the camera to show the filming of the building parts and then putting them on, because a lot of times it's just adding a couple steps here and whatever. So I'm going to look at the instructions, jump forward, and I might just build a whole bunch of sub-assemblies and then put them on. It'll be out of sequence in the instructions, but it'll make for a better video, I think. This guy I think is too short. You do get some longer ones. But I think those are too long also. They're only supposed to go to here. So this side seems to be okay, but the other one isn't so much. So anyway, going forward, I'm gonna try one more time lapse just to see how they do that. And then I might just go back to the photography, because the guy's getting pretty big. It's 48 inches long right now. So, and it's getting really hard to photo because I don't have the space and I can't zoom the camera down any more than it already is. Anyway, 16 coming up. Okay, 16, final result. You're basically making this structure right here, a little detail. You probably saw me struggle at the end trying to get this on because it is a, kind of a split center thing you can kind of see. So make sure you line it up. I think the instructions were wrong a little bit about placing some of the parts in there and lining up. So I ended up taking everything off, putting this to this, attaching it, and then it seemed to line up. And then I had some breakage here that I had to replace. So sorry for the extra video. Finished 17, and to be honest, compared to the previous two steps, it was a pure pleasure to build. Nothing really weird about it. You're basically building this panel right here. Pretty straightforward. Even putting it on was relatively straightforward. Very happy with this one. I will say this, I should have mentioned this before, that these parts cling much better than the Venator. Like I remember having tons of problems where I had to glue a few spots. All these, almost too much clutch. Everything holds together really well, considering how flimsy sometimes the builds can be and the way they put things on. But anyway, that's the other panel too. The only thing that's just terrible about this build is this guy right here. I don't know, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I gotta figure something out, do it in a better way. Basically just building this little section right here. It went together really well. Just placing it in there was a little bit of a challenge, getting it lined up. I hope it's lined up, but it looks okay. That's really about it. Tomorrow looks like a good one. You're building a little Millennium Falcon. All right, so this is probably the funnest part of the whole build so far. Your little Millennium Falcon. I'm missing a pin. There's supposed to be a pin, a gray one. That looks like this, but I know the gray ones tend to be a little more flexible. I'll probably use one of these if I have one extra. Otherwise, I'll get it from a part. There you go. It looks pretty cool. It's kind of neat. It's got the blue engines in the back. You know, it could sandwich to better, but a little bit better than it does, but live with it. I might tweak it a little bit just to see if I could do something with it. I'm gonna raise these up a little bit too, so you get more of a curve there as opposed to just that sharp edge. Maybe just put like a 2x4 in there just to give it a little relief. So, you know, because that one's like that. Anyway, there you go. I think this was my favorite step so far. Falcon after the mods I made to it. I basically repositioned these a little bit, added this plate, this one, and this one. It kind of gives it a little more curvature to the back. And then I showed a picture earlier, but you have those plates in there which kind of holds the mandibles a little bit closer together. You see they don't separate as much. I would like to move it a little bit forward, but then that section kind of sticks out front, and I'm not a big fan of it. Then on the bottom, all we added was a 2x6 back here to kind of curve that a little bit. You can see it's a little more rounded now. And to be honest, I think that's really about it, except for adding the junction plates. So there you go. You can make those mods if you like. If not, that's fine too. Panel right here, it's pretty straightforward. This one's straightforward too, and this little section right here. You're supposed to have 2 of these tubes. I only have 1, so I'm missing one of those small tubes. It bows out a little bit, but that's to be expected when you put a bunch of plates together. Putting the bottom part was easy. The top part, not as much. You need kind of small fingers to get in there. I have relatively normal fingers, I guess, but getting them in there so you can kind of pinch things together, it was pretty difficult. On the lower one, it was easy, it was a breeze. But maybe if you got a kid with small fingers, he can help you out. My Falcon also fell off while putting that on, so it's obviously not on there securely, so just be aware of that. Other than that, I think we're going on to 21 tomorrow. done with day 21. Happy solstice, by the way. So it's just that panel right there. Building it was pretty easy. You got a little gap in there. Whoops, sorry, little gap in there that I would have liked to put a blue plate in, which I might do later. It went in pretty straightforward. The only thing the instructions don't really show you is what to do with this bit. So I'm assuming it plugs into this plate right here, just to kind of keep this structure from flopping around a little bit. So I'm assuming that, but if you look at the instructions, it doesn't really say much. Building this panel here, it actually went in pretty well. You saw I struggled a little bit because there's one 2x4 here that it doesn't really want to cling onto. You can see it kind of moves a little bit. I can't figure out how to get it to stay on there, but it holds relatively well, so I'm not going to sweat it too much. Building this back part here too, and then these guys. So not a whole lot to really report, but it looks like those are extra, so I'll be able to put one there and one there, and then maybe cut this one to replace the one that's missing there. So you're basically just building that center structure there and the two antenna arrays. The problem with the antenna arrays is that a good stiff wind would blow those things over. They're really loose, like they'll come right apart. So you can kind of, these things will come right off. So I may actually glue them. They're all just, gravity is holding them. If you take them up, spill them upside down, they'll fall apart. I did end up chopping those long tubes down. So I was able to put this one in there and another one there. And then that's what's left after chopping everything. So I was able to replace this one too. So that was kind of nice. Step 24 is done. It's about 2 a.m. Christmas Day. I did technically start it Christmas Eve, just really late. So you're just building some little ships, which are pretty cool. They were kind of fun to build. They hold up pretty well considering they're a bunch of small little parts. So there's your B-wing. Then you get to build a TIE fighter. Then you get, I think they did the Tidarium shuttle next. There you go. Whoops. What I did, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here, I added a 1x1 round plate with a hole in it just to stabilize the wing. They had an extra one and I pulled one out of my parts. It just stabilizes the wing and it makes it look a little bit nicer. Otherwise, if that rod that's here just flops around and the wings aren't. So just make that little modification. You have those extra parts. So there you go. And then you did the Y-wing. Kind of cool. they're all pretty cool. And they actually, considering that they're a bunch of small parts, they actually hold up pretty well. So they're put together pretty well. And last, you got your A-wing, tiny little guy. And finally, your iconic X-wing. Well, this one does kind of look a little weird, but it works. You know what it is. And then the only thing I did different on this one is I just inverted those wings a little bit. Just put the studs so they all look equal. Lastly, right in here are all your little parts. You got the spurs with all these tools. They all basically look the same. Got a few plates left over. Got some pins left over. And some blue pins. And a bunch of these little parts there. So that was it. That's the build. I'll put those on and then I guess that'll be it. Thanks for sticking around.